We've got Dr. Thomas Wilson-Ikubese here with us. He's the convener, Yes We Fit Revolutionary Movement, also a former presidential aspirant. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you know, for those who said at the time that while they saw the way young persons were trying to organize themselves, particularly the one that you were involved in and went in for that election, they just thought that it may not come off as well as maybe they expected. Would you say now that they've been vindicated, having seen the way the elections went out?
Well, one thing I want you to understand is that all of us, young people that came up for the 2019 presidential election, especially vying for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, none of us was a politician. None of us up to that time ever belonged to any political party. We just felt at different points in time that Nigeria was not going the way it should go, and we should therefore arise to take our nation back from the people that has gotten us into that state and make the nation work. For instance, when I declared on the 24th of July 2017, I didn't see any young man declare. And when I did, I said, okay, let every young man come up and let us be politically active. Enough of social media advocacy. And to God be the glory, many of them came up. And by 2018, we had quite a number of young presidential aspirants. And that was when I said, okay, guys, let's come together. If we go this alone, we can't make a success of it. Let's come together and present one consensus candidate and take that person around this nation and let Nigerians know that they have one credible alternative, a deviation, break away from the past, you know. So that's where we go to, and that's why we formed PACT. Unfortunately, issues arose, and some people felt, well, I must go to the polls, I must go to the ballot, you know.
The young generation that you talked about didn't have political experience?
Well, I don't think it's because they do not have political experience. I think it's because largely some of them have agenda that is different from the salvation of the Nigerian nation. Now, for me, PACT was a sieve. You know, you put a sieve down and pour dirty water in it, and the clean one comes out, and the dirty one stays up. You know, but some people felt, no, I must go to the ballot. And of course, they've gone to the ballot, and all of them put together did not score 200,000 votes. You know, so now one thing is clear, and that's what we have always advocated, that we don't have the political structure. These guys have the structure. We don't have the money. These guys have the money. So our best bet would have been coming together, presenting a common front, and Nigerians were ready, willing to say, okay, give us one candidate and we will all support that person.
But you know, there were those who said, look, this was as clear as ever could be, but they just refused to see it, that there was no way you were going to take a shot at the #1 seat, first time of asking, and expect to win without that kind of structure. Many had said at the time that, look, what was wrong with them going to start from states, from state assemblies, from House, National Assembly, and then grow gradually, garner the experience, but rather than just gone for that #1 seat?
It's a total stratum takeover. That was what we planned. You know, in climes where things work, you put in your younger ones into the political structure and encourage them to grow. In our climb, you suppress them. At best, you make them special assistants, senior special assistants. You know, you don't allow them to grow. A situation where...
I'm talking about vying for positions in the state assemblies, not just going to become essays.
Yes.
You can vie even on those platforms, not necessarily on the established platforms.
I was coming to that.
Okay.
I'll just build up to that. Now, why we had to go all wrong is that, one, right from the councillorship to the chairmanship of local government, to the state houses of assembly, to the rep, to the senate and the presidency, even governorship, young people came up and we vied. So it wasn't as if all of us were going for the presidency. No, some of us did go into the lower offices, and some of us actually won. In Ondo State, for instance, where I reside, we have a young man who is about 30 years old or so, and he's in the House of Rep now. He never been a politician for the first time.
Which one? The one that's in SDP?
Yes, the one in SDP. And the other fellow also in ADP also won his seat also. So the bottom line is, it's not just saying that we want to grab the presidency. It's because we felt our leaders over time, they do not have a plan for succession. They want to perpetually remain in power, remain in office, control the resources of the office, and not making the nation a better place.
Some have also contended that the young people have been complacent for too long. I mean, the Second Republic, Third Republic, not many of them really came out to do anything. The complacency has been on for too long, 20 years, and then you're just coming out now. Some have said that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that we've been complacent over time, and not just the young people, even professionals. We've all been complacent because we feel that politics is for the bad guys, it's for the hard guys, it's for those who have the mind to go through all the roughness. And we are saying that those roughness don't have to be there. Politics does not have to be relegated to the people who we deem as the hard guys. No, it should be a game actually for decent people, people who are educated, people who are sincere and genuine. But the way we structured ours, it makes it very difficult for people who are sincere to come in. So that is true over time, and that's why in 2019 you saw that change. Many young people came up, even some entertainers came up and vied for offices. So we realized that over time we've been complacent and we are ready to make that change. But that change will only come if we can build a form of synergy.
So, sorry.
Do you think the young people are politically aware enough and willing to go the whole hog of gaining enough political education going forward?
When you talk about gaining political education, you're talking like mentorship. You like, you know, a particular senator made a statement a few days ago that he is no longer interested in vying for office, that he wants to mentor young people. And on the social media, people were asking, say, what kind of mentorship do you want to provide? Is it a type you have done over time that didn't get us anywhere? So the bottom line is, when you say we should learn, we actually should unlearn. We can't afford to learn from the old politicians what they have done over time that got us into the mess we are in.
I didn't say learn from them. I said gain political education. There are many, many examples. India, USA, UK. That's what I'm talking about. Not necessarily, I mean, we know what's going on. That okay, let me take you somewhere else. Many people say that politics is dirty.
Yeah.
What does it take to clean it up?
Politics is dirty, and politics reflects the nature of the society. When the society is dirty, dirty people in their large number come up to play politics, and they play it in a dirty way that takes away the people who are clean. So if a society is going to be cleaned up, it's the same set of people that will determine that and say, we want politics to be clean. And how do you do that? You know, people say that people get the kind of leadership they deserve. If you look at the last election, I wept when I was in my polling unit because I saw young people that we were together shouting, we are going to have a new Nigeria, going to collect money from the major parties. Some collected from this party and this party, the two major parties, and they went to vote. You see, so it is dirty, but the dirtiness itself is a function of the society. It's the people that will say that we have had enough of this dirtiness, we want to move forward. Look at what happened in Sudan. The people came up before the military came up. Look at what happened in Algeria, the people. So until Nigerians arise and say, we've had enough of this, we want to have a breakaway, 2,000, 5,000 that they gave to them, Chamberlain, during the election, they must have finished spending them by now.
Can we then say that it's the people that play it that make it dirty, not necessarily that it is by nature dirty?
Politics is not dirty, but someone said it is illegal for you to be legal in an illegal society.
What does that mean, an illegal society?
Now, if I have to run for public office and I have to pick up the form, for instance, with 10 million naira, I have to distribute money to the party leaders, I have to see the market woman and the chairman of the NURT and give them money to get their support.
There's no law that says you must do that, is there?
It doesn't have to be in the law. It's the nature of the people, the expectation of the people.
No, but there are people who haven't done that.
Yes.
In politics.
Yes.
And they won state assembly seats, one or two of them I know.
Chamberlain, if you open deep down, there are stories behind, beyond what you see on the surface. Agreed, there are exceptions, but we're talking about the norm. In statistics, you draw the graph like that. You have exceptions at the tail end, but the major margin, you wouldn't get into Nigerian political sphere without spending. The system is too expensive, it's too attractive, and that's why they spend. In my manifesto, remember, when I was here last year, I said that one of the things I do intend to do is to see that we we make political offices less attractive.
Doesn't it depend on the office you're vying for and where your location is?
Any office that you vie for, you need money, you need the people, you need goodwill. So it's not a function of maybe because you're vying for a particular office, then you will spend or you will not spend. So it's a thing that cuts across
All right, so
the system.
from your perspective, what lessons do you think you have learned, or perhaps young people may have learned from this process?
So much lessons, Chamberlain, so much lessons. You know, all of us went into this with so much zest, so much enthusiasm that no, Nigeria should be a leading nation in Africa. We shouldn't be where we are. But when we got in, we realized that the political system is totally different from what you see on the outside. We realized that even the people themselves, they are expecting you to give to them. Somebody will come to you and say, see, Oga, if you don't give me money, I will not vote for you because I've not eaten since morning. Will you blame them that they want money to feed? Maybe partly not, because the system has deliberately impoverished them. The political elites have made things so difficult so that it's difficult for you to get your 3 square meals a day. Look at the issue of electricity, for instance. Do you know how empowered Nigerians will be if we have 24-hour power supply? So because those things are not working, the people are impoverished, so you give them 2,000, 3,000, they run after you and vote for you, even though I've said that within 6 months, we can have uninterrupted power supply with gas turbine. Very, very practicable. So the problem here is that the political elites are deliberate in their orchestration. They impoverish the people, make them stay down there, make the system to be perpetually non-functional, so that when they come to the people, offer them token, they run after them and give them the votes. So it's a cycle. It's a cycle. Sometimes some of us just feel, is there hope for this nation? But again, we won't give up. We continue to push, believing that somewhere along the line, we'll be able to have some kind of miracle. I want to call it a miracle now. You know, I said last year, I said, ordinarily, the incumbent president has not met our expectation. And someone said, okay, maybe we should go the way of Atiku. And I said, ordinarily, Atiku is not an alternative to President Buhari, but the incompetency of Buhari has made Atiku a talking point. So the thing is, the third alternative that we should have, we have ingrabbing, we have fighting amongst ourselves because of selfish interests, and that's why we should begin to look inward and begin to think beyond 2019.
How do you see young people approaching this moving forward, or what should they be doing in addition to that?
Well, a lot of lessons have been learned, Chamberlain, some of them very painfully so. You know, when we started, we said no to PDP, no to APC, but we have seen that those are the parties that have the structures.
So you never say never now?
Yes, you never say never, Chamberlain. Now, the bottom line here is that we would have to re-strategize. The bottom line is we need to take the power from these people, and since we could not succeed in having a singular bloc in the 2019 presidential election as a youth platform, a singular party, we can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. There may be the need for some of the youth advocates to go into some of these existing parties and do a change from within. And while others remain on the outside in the smaller parties and build them into the big party, because we need to have a strategy change. And I can't disclose everything. I wouldn't want to mention everything here. We'll be meeting very soon, in a couple of days. These are the things we're going to review. What happened in 2019? What are the things we did wrongly? How do we go about it? The bottom line is you need to have the power before you can effect a change. If you're on the outside, you can talk all the grammar. Until you have the power, you cannot effect the change.
What's the thinking concerning funding?
Yes, funding is a very big issue. And that was why some of us felt so depressed that, you know, some presidential candidates at that time, young people, walked out frustrating, you know, the emergence of a consensus candidate, because funding ordinarily would not have been an issue if we had had a consensus candidate. Nigerians were already in the diaspora, within and without, ready to fund the campaign of a singular candidate that will say, this is the youth candidate for Nigeria 2019 presidency. But that didn't work. And will that work in 2023? I doubt it, because we have seen the color of some of these people. So what will eventually happen is that we are going to have a strategy where funding will not be a problem, because without funding, there's no way you can seize power if you don't have the regular fund to do that. So we will have a strategy that will attack the issue of funding, that will solve the issue of structures that permeate into the unit what, you know. Without that, you cannot take political power.
Does it mean that they are going to be working on that strategy silently up until 2023?
We started working on it as I speak. Yeah, we started working on it.
Are they going to be commenting on national issues as the country progresses?
Well, certainly, as issues evolve, we will make comments on them. But much more important is taking the issues into the parties that matter, taking the issues into where the structures are, so that we'll be able to make the change when eventually the time comes.
So long road to success, perhaps. Dr. Thomas Wilson-Ikubese, convener, Yes With It, revolutionary movement, also at some point vied for the #1 ticket. Thank you for coming on, and all the best.
Thanks for having me.
So that is the show this week. We thank you all for watching, hoping that something the country will respond appropriately to what's going on into Nigerians in South Africa. We'll see you next week. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I am Akinde here.
Well, thank you for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. See you later tonight.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.